Okay, today we're going to try and put our new graph system to use. Ultimately, I'm going to go out here. We're going to scan the middle of the lake and look for suspended fish. And that's basically going to tell us the depth we should be fishing in. That's the hope. Follow along, see if we learn something here. I'm experimenting as we go, so here we go. All right, so right off the bat, this is almost how I'm going to have it set up all the time, with the exception of I want a little sliver of sonar over here. And let's see, that right there. So I want the map, I want a little 2D sonar section, I want the down imaging here, and the side imaging up here. On the map, we're going to start with erasing our tracks just because we don't need to see our old tracks. Oops. So we're going to go to waypoint, save track settings, current track, that's what I'm looking for, and then I'm going to clear it. And now you'll see we got a clean screen. The next thing I'm worried about is if we're looking for our magic depth, so to speak. Right now I've got it highlighted at 15 feet. That was for the lake I was on the other day. So that's going to change, but for now, we're just going to graph. We're looking for suspended fish. Once I get out to the middle of the lake, we're just going to drive up and down and see if we can find any depth where there's bait fish hanging out or whatever. Then we're going to highlight that depth on this map, and that's where we're going to start fishing. We're going to find some stuff in that depth. So here we go. All right, so we're starting in 17 feet of water. If you can see this here, the white is the deepest spot, and we may have already found something right there, but we're gonna look for more. Ultimately, we're gonna drive right through the deepest part of this lake and we're looking for fish. Like that's a little tiny fish on the bottom. But somewhere in the suspended column here should be some bait fish, in theory. And this is a good way to figure out where to start fishing on your lake. So, see what we see here. Might take a little while. They're not necessarily going to be smack dab in the middle of the lake like I'm going, but I'm running my first track through the middle. Then we'll come down one side and we'll go down the other side. And somewhere in there we should see some sort of life. And that'll give us our first clue. There's a little bait ball. It's about halfway down the column. Not too much going on, as you can see. We're gonna start coming up shallower here. We're gonna turn around, we're gonna run down this side and see if anything's different. A little bit of structure here. Some sticks or something on the bottom. There's something hanging right on the bottom. There's 3 individual fish. Also in about 15 to 20. Actually, that's about 15. They're suspended. You can see the shadows over here. That might be a couple fish. Not seeing a lot. And if that's the case, then I might abandon this plan altogether and just fish shallow. We're gonna give it a little while longer, but there's nothing out here suspended. Nothing going on. Another little something at 20-ish feet. So there's little tiny bait balls at 20 feet. But there's not enough out here right now. There's another one at like 15 feet. I'm not seeing enough to make me want to fish in 15 to 20 feet of water. If there were bait balls all over in 15 to 20 feet of water, I would mark this, which it's already marked at 15, and I would go just fish that depth where that ground meets at 15 or 20 feet, depending on where the bait balls are, where the fish are, where the life is. But I'm not seeing any of that, and we've ran through the entirety of the deep part of this lake. So I think the fish are shallow, so that's where we're going to start. So I anticipated there to be more suspended fish, and I anticipated finding a starting point with those suspended fish. And what it's actually brought me is to the conclusion that they're shallow. So let's go shallow. I'm going to start with 3 baits: jig, pig pole, and a jerk bait. It's getting cold at night. Water temperature is probably in the mid 50s, 53.9. It's November. Winter's coming, days are getting shorter. The fish know all this stuff. So I'm thinking we can get them to go on a jerk bait. And if not, we're gonna try some shallow stuff too. But jerk bait should come into play maybe. We're gonna see. It's really windy. I'm moving this jerkbait pretty fast with the assumption that they are, if they see it, they're going to want to attack it. If I'm at this for a while and I notice that I'm not getting any kind of nothing, then I'll slow it down. But we're not even around fish as far as the live scope's concerned, so right now we're moving it really fast and seeing what we can trigger. There's a bluegill. I just saw a bass. First signs of life today. Thing with fall is they can be anywhere, literally anywhere. I feel like we eliminated the deep water. That's why we're shallow today. But nothing so far. Ooh, we got bumped there. What the hell? He pounded it and then dropped it. Definitely a fish. Definitely a fish. Hopefully I didn't disturb him by making that little loop. Yeah, he didn't like something. Huh. Maybe they're not shallow neither. Maybe they're in the mid range. All right, that's a good one. That's a good one. 2-pounder probably. First good fish of the day, first bite of the day. Thanks, bud. Probably 2 pounds. I was swimming it. I saw him flash on it. He wasn't as shallow as I would have expected. See if he's got a buddy. I feel like he was out here on these lily pads and not really in the shade. It's getting to the point where I was gonna say there's not much going on shallow, not much going on deep. We got to go to the mid, and we still may because we've covered a lot of ground shallow. But that fish gives me hope at least. We got a few more shallow spots we can try before we totally abandon this. Like I said, that last fish gave me a little hope. Otherwise, we were going to go out to find something in 5 to 8. Well, we got about an hour in, one fish only. That's really, really, really funny. That's a carp scale. A huge one. And I obviously just had that thing hooked under its gill plate or somewhere in its gills or something. Underneath a boat dock. Weird. Really weird. Jeez. She's a rockin' and a rollin'. Pulling out the chatterbait in this mid-depth, buzz it over some 8 to 10 foot stuff, nick the top of some weeds, see if we can find them here. Kind of eliminated anything good going on shallow or anything good going on deep, so hoping in between that is where it's at. Kind of looking for bait. Still haven't seen bait really. We went through that whole the deep passes out the middle. We saw a couple little schools of fry or bait balls, little tiny things in 15 to 20, which is what possessed me to go shallow. And I didn't see much. I think I saw one bluegill, maybe two, under docks. And we only caught that one good one and hooked one carp. So here we are. Process of elimination, right? There's only really 3 depths you can fish in somewhat productively. Deep, shallow, and mid. Aha! That is great. So I'm gonna mark that. Waypoint. Select. I'm gonna call that bluegill. Oops. Mark. Bluegill. So we got our first clue there. That little bluegill grouping. So we're going to graph our green area now and probably fish our green area, depending. Because that's the only place we've seen fish so far today. I think this is a pike. Yeah. Nice northern. Should save them for the mighty master, but not today. Not today. He needed to be a little bit bigger. He was probably long enough, but cleaning them little guys where there's not a lot of meat on the bone, it's not fun. Although I don't do it, I leave it for him to do, so I don't know. Maybe I should have kept it. Bill, let me know in the comments, should I have kept it? All right, that's a wrap. Rough day on the pond here. It's fall, it's November, water temps are dropping, all that's normal. Fish are still biting. Honestly, today I was not around fish. I didn't see much on the live scope. We fished shallow for a couple hours. I only caught that one good one swimming a jig. So fall fishing can be pretty tough. You've got to stay consistent, get out there, figure out what's going on, which I haven't done. I haven't been out here in 2 weeks. It's 4 o'clock, a little after 4. It's getting dark. Daylight savings time is kicked in. So with that said, we are fishing less, which stinks. Hurts my soul. But we're still going to be putting out videos 2 times a week. Tuesdays and Fridays at midnight. So Monday night at midnight or Tuesday morning, and Thursday night at midnight or Friday morning, depending on how you look at that. So those two, we're going down to 2 days a week for a while, at least until we can start fishing, whether that be ice fishing, whether that be, I don't know, whatever. But there's going to be less content because we're not going to be out on the water as much, unfortunately. With that said, I've got a video coming that I want you guys' opinion on for starting next year in the spring. And that's coming out soon, so please vote on that. Leave some comments. Like, share, and subscribe. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.